It's a long story. I'll give you the short version of it. One day, a few years ago, I get a phone call. And a man on the other side of the line with a very heavy southern accent, Rabbi Anava. And I'm like, yeah? So, anyways, long story short, let me tell you the long story. It's a long story, but I'll tell it short. This guy tells me, listen, my father just passed away, and he asked us to call you, and we need to know how to bury him. I said, well, the last time I checked, I'm not Chevre Kadisha. Why are you calling me? He's like, well, we didn't even know he's Jewish. And it's the first time we just found out that our father is Jewish. And he left a note that we should call you to ask you how to bury a Jew. Bemet, long story short, a guy lived his life like a non-Jew. Married a non-Jewish woman, had non-Jewish kids, non-Jewish grandkids. And sometime towards the end of his life, he got diagnosed with a disease. He was in his late 80s. So now, the wheels start turning. Oh my gosh, I'm about to give back the soul. I'm going back. So he goes to Dr. Google, and he writes in the search box, is there life after death? And sure enough, who shows up? Me. So he watches a video, and suddenly he gets a smack to his face. And he starts watching another video, and another video, and another video, and before he knows it, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm dying, and I have nothing. Okay, so bemet, a long story short, the guy calls me, I tell him, okay, where's the body? He gives me some name of a town. I'm like, where is it, on the moon? I never heard of such a town. He's like, well, it's like 60 kilometers, 60 miles east from Sacramento. I'm like, I'm in New York. Why are you calling me? Long story short, there's a situation. There's an emergency. A Jewish body is somewhere in the 60 miles from Sacramento. It needs to be right away be taken possession. Right away. It has to be guarded, it has to be cleaned, it has to be buried. Long story short, I lived at the time in New York. It was like maybe 6-7 years ago. Started tons of phone calls, locating a rabbi in the areas that can go to get the body right away. After a while, calling a million places, I call one place that was in Sacramento, San Francisco, doesn't remember, where they do the tahara, the purity of the body. They tell me we can't send anybody. Long story short, I look through the Chabad directory. That's the best option you can find in the middle of nowhere, and I find a Chabad rabbi that is the most closest to that town. I call him up. I tell him, "Are you close to this city?" He says, "It's not so close to me, but what's the situation?" Tell him there's a dead body there. It needs to be taken right away. It needs to be driven down to Sacramento. Okay, we start talking, and the rabbi tells me, who's this guy? I told him, I don't even know. I don't even know his name. But we got to help. So he tells me, but what's the story? I give him a little description, and he tells me, you know what? Is his name so-and-so? I said, I think so. Why? He's like, you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I tell him, well, try me. I'll believe almost anything. So, he tells me a few months ago, this old man walks into my little shul, and he sits in the corner. And as the rabbi of the shul, I approach to him. Hello, who you are? What's your name? What are you doing here? And after a short conversation, he comes with $1 million question. Are you Jewish? Tells him, yes, I am Jewish. Comes with a $2 million question. Did you put tefillin on today? He says, no, I never put tefillin on in my life. So the rabbi tells me that they did for him a bar mitzvah. He went up to the Torah. He put tefillin on. He put tzitzit on. And the guy was like in his late 80s crying. He's getting a bar mitzvah. Long story short, he tells me this gentleman showed up a few weeks in my shul every day, and then he disappeared. Nobody knew who he is. Nobody knew where he's from. He just disappeared. And now probably that's this guy. Now, bemet, a long story short, it's a 2-hour story, just how we had to logistically do things here. But nevertheless, what happened is that this young individual in his late 80s gets diagnosed with a disease, and the doctor's telling him, you're dying. And he starts thinking, well, now what? Where am I going? So bemet, he finds my video online, starts following all these videos, and decides to make teshuvah. And then he writes a note, I want to be buried like a Jew. Because in his will, he asked to be burnt, that some of the ashes should be buried next to his wife, and some of the ashes should be buried over there. And somebody says, I don't even know how to get buried. The kids are calling me, and they're like, we didn't even know our father's Jewish. And long story short, Bemet, with a lot of logistics, we somehow got the body. And the thing is that the kids were like, we're not going for this. We're burning. It's the cheapest. And I was like, there's not going to be any burning today. Hold the fire, and we're going to bury him. He's like, we don't have money for that. I told him, I'll get the money. Don't worry. Just don't touch the body. I'll fund everything. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to get money for that. But nevertheless, I was like, first don't touch the body. But the point was that we somehow were able to get the body enough in time to do tahara, to do the purification, because after a certain while, when the body starts decomposing, you can't do it anymore. The point was that he got a Jewish burial, he did bar mitzvah, and obviously, Bezrat Hashem, he did Teshuvah right before he left. Now, I don't remember how old he was, 88, 89, I didn't get into too many details. But you see that a person in the last moments of his life, he lived his life like a non-Jew. Needless to say, they never celebrated Shabbat, never celebrated any holiday, never ate kosher, never did anything. And in the last moments of his life, Hashem opened the door and told him, you want to do Teshuvah? You can do Teshuvah. And I guarantee to you that he did Teshuvah. He went up to the Torah, he made a bar mitzvah, and he got to his burial the right way. And his son told me, we didn't even know he's Jewish. We went on his Facebook, all his Facebook is just your videos. And I was like, oh, so now I know who's sharing them. Whatever.
So you buried him?
I didn't bury him, I was in New York, but we got everything done. For me, it was just to above all the expenses, how to bury him, also to fly there, it just didn't work out. But the point is that anybody can do Teshuvah in the last moment of their life. It's never too late. You can be 90 years old, Hashem is still going to tell you, do Teshuvah retroactively, everything will be atoned, everything will be fixed. In one action, a person can literally, with one thought, to do Teshuvah a moment before he dies. You know, some of the sins that we do, Bemet, our sages say, En le'am l'adam chelek la'olam haba, you lose your olam haba. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, a person, a moment before he died, does Teshuvah, yesh lo chelek la'olam haba. He opens some type of a gap, that he has a way how to go into olam haba. So specifically comes the month of Nisan, the month of miracles. Yeah, you do what you need to do. You do the right Teshuvah. Teshuvah is a serious thing. You have to take advantage of that. Bezrat Hashem, when a person does Teshuvah, then Hashem forgives him. Hashem says, if you're real, you show me you're for real, I'll turn the world upside down. That's what people don't understand. Hashem puts a sword on their neck, and people start panicking, and Hashem says, all I want you to do Teshuvah. I'll make the whole world turn the other direction. You can't even believe what Hashem can do. Hashem will turn the whole world upside down for you. Just do the real Teshuvah. So we have to take advantage of that. Hashem gave us such a gift. We can't let it go in front of our eyes. Because, life goes like that. And you don't want to get to the moment that you're like, oh my gosh, I missed. I didn't buy the lottery ticket. And the Teshuvah is lottery ticket. The Teshuvah changes your life.